The Way of Will Jon.
I'm not even going to preface this at all. Is Jesus real?
I mean, was he an historical figure?
Was Jesus a real person who lived on earth like you and I are here right now? That's the question.
If I had to put money on it, I'd say no.
Okay. And why?
But, I mean, so it's mythicism, as I guess they call it. But I mean, there is. It just seems odd. I mean, there's some great scholars who have some good arguments to say, actually, there's enough evidence to suggest that he almost certainly was some kind of person. But I think he's really, at the end of the day, a manifestation of a number of different stories and different people wrapped up in one. I mean, you can't be like that and have literally zero evidence of him until 30 years after his death was when the first gospel was written. And perhaps that there are stories of Jesus before Jesus was born.
What? Wait, say that again? Say that again? How is this?
There are stories about a Messiah from God being written before Jesus was born.
Okay, related to the one who becomes the Christian Messiah.
Well, yes, same name. Yep, the same name was used, and he had only done certain things that were then recounted in the New Testament as in different stories. But we see
where were they coming from?
So some of these are from Gospels that weren't published or texts that weren't published. I'm not
like the Gnosis, the apocryphal text, or the ones that they
apocryphals, because they were a bit later. But there's some earlier writings. I know from about 50 BC that start talking about the Messiah and Jesus and things like that, and coming. And it's I say, to me, there may well have been a few people that did things that may have influenced some of the stories, but I don't think there was a single person that all those stories truly reflected.
Sure. Is it true that there is no proper historical evidence or probably for him outside of these Gospels? We don't have a tomb. I know there was the hoax just a few years ago with that bone little box
no
thing.
Tangible evidence. No, it's
none.
No. So the first written evidence we have of him that we can say is about him is the Gospel, I believe. And then after that, there's independent. What you really want are independent sources, and they didn't start appearing until after 100 years later. After he was born. So, and they probably only started to appear because stories were being told by Christians anyway. So we hear about Pliny seeing Christians having a bit of an uprising or causing a disturbance. I think that might have been in Anatolia, so Turkey. And he writes to the emperor, says, "What do I do?" And the emperor says, "Oh, don't worry about them. They're nobody to worry about." But then I think he then talks to Tacitus, and Tacitus starts writing something. So that you start seeing him popping up, but only because people within the same sort of administrative branch of the Roman Empire are talking to each other rather than this. But Christianity, is a very interesting topic, especially the organisations that then appeared from it. And we could talk for a week about those.
I'm curious a little bit though. I mean, definitely if you can go into some of it, because I mean it relates to so many of people now, because most people will not. I mean, I don't know anyone who's done a deep dive into everything that you're doing, but most people, it stays fringe, right? It stays superficial. Most people's religious beliefs aren't actually. Most people can't pay attention anymore, anyway, right? We're just sitting at TikTok and doing. We can't pay attention to anything.
TikTok, Jesus.
Yeah. We're in trouble but other than that. You can talk to a whole lot of people in Western society, and they'll tell you, oh yeah, I'm Christian or I'm Catholic or I'm whatever. It means nothing.
It just means you belong to a group of people. And I've had this discussion. I've said, look, if you look at what the Roman Catholic Church has done as an organisation throughout its existence, and it has done some very bad things indeed, and yet people still want to belong to the Roman Catholic Church and call themselves Christians. That makes no sense. You get other Christians saying, "Oh, don't." Like Halloween is a good example. There are some more extreme Christians say, "Don't believe in Halloween, don't believe in ghosts and demons and all that." But then when you go to church, they say, "Bless the Holy Ghost." So on one hand, they want you to believe in the Holy Ghost. On the other hand, don't believe in ghosts. So what? And you see these contradictions all the time. There's some of the best stories I hear, like in the Middle Ages, the Roman Catholic Church approved, I think it was 6 different heads of Mary, Jesus' mum, were on display in Europe at the same time.
as like the actual head.
The actual head. So also either the Virgin Mary had 6 heads, or there's obviously something else going on there. But there's all sorts of things. So the Pope isn't actually the Pope. He hasn't got that title. There is a Pope, but he belongs to an African sect of the Christian organisation. There's all sorts of things that we just don't.
I mean, I heard about there's some other Pope. What's the Black Pope? Or there's another thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just found out about that.
But it makes it. I mean, we've got. If you see what the original New Testament looked like before the additions and changes.
Talking about what is that? Not the Council of Trent, but when they started
long before that. So yeah, there's something
before that.
Before that, you actually see like the Gospel of Mark doesn't have Jesus resurrecting.
Okay, well, he dies in
like chapter 14.
Does he die and is this over?
Girls turn up to or women turn up to the tomb and then run away scared and don't tell anyone he's gone from the tomb. But there's none of him appearing in Nazareth or wherever. That doesn't happen. That's added later. We can actually prove that was added later. And then gospel. So you got all these, and that's why they sort of. I mean, I say you see it in all through mythology. In every other religion, you just see these myths develop and change. And what I certainly know is that we build God and religions in our own, what we want our own image, then to make them like. Sometimes we want them in our own image, but sometimes you just want them to be what we want. And you see that very clearly in mythology. They're nothing more than our own imagination.
As a matter of fact, I think we had a pastor on our other podcast, and I mean, I asked him the exact same question, which of course he would cite it. No, he's clearly real. Yes. Yeah. He's clearly a real person. And we didn't have enough time to kind of push to say, why? Because that's the more interesting question is why do you believe that? But I don't even know how you're going to answer this question too, because this is another video that I didn't see. But you have a video out there on what to make of the story that Jesus killed and cursed people.
Oh, yes.